got 2 extra minutes. So this, I'm pretty much stuck to the lectern, aren't I? I like to walk around and talk to people, talk at people. Yeah, okay, well, look, thank you, everyone. I can say everyone, because there's like more than one of you now, which is great. Thanks for coming along to my probably career-limiting session. Look, a squirrel. What I'm going to be focusing on, well, if I was to ask you to do a show of hands, and I'm not going to ask you to do this, if I was to say to you, what do you think application workspace does, or Liquid does, I would assume most of you would probably say something like patching, application patching. And that's one of the things I'm going to try and dispel with this session. Okay, so we're famous for doing application patching. We've got this big app store of about 6,500 applications across Windows and Mac, and we can patch applications really easily, okay? But the problem is we do a whole lot more than that, and I feel like we've been pigeonholed to a certain extent into application patching. We do some really cool stuff, okay? And if you come to any of my other sessions previously, you'll know we do application deployment, okay? You've seen that. Maybe you remember my teabag presentation that I did a couple of years ago. If you haven't seen that, I think it's on the EUC forum website, see if you can catch it. We do some really cool stuff when it comes to dynamic application delivery. But one of the really cool things we do that we don't talk about enough is user experience. Okay, hence look, a squirrel. All right, so famously, if someone says, look, a squirrel, they're probably not listening to you, they're probably distracted. This session is all about distractions, okay? Now, look at this guy. Does he look happy? No, he looks kind of pissed off, doesn't he? He's sort of leaning back into his chair, and maybe he could be thoughtful.
Jumping out the window.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he would, if he could open it, but he can't. So he's sitting there, right, and he's on his laptop, and he's like, ah. And he's probably got some sort of application problem, okay? Now, this is one of those things that people don't tend to think about too often when it comes to productivity, okay? We actually did some research. Sit down quietly, back there. Thank you, Chris. So we actually did some research into how much time is wasted by users due to application issues, application problems, okay, per week. And this is what it looks like, all right, 15 minutes. Now, that doesn't sound like a great deal of time wasted on application issues. And when I'm talking about application issues, I'm not talking about, hey, I've gone into this application, I don't know how to use it. This is, I clicked on the app, it doesn't launch. Or the app keeps crashing on me. 15 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time wasted. If you're in a 1,000-user organization, that's 15,000 minutes a week. That's equivalent to 6 FTEs standing around doing nothing. And I know none of us work in organizations where anyone stands around doing nothing, but if you could identify 6 people standing around doing nothing, you'd want to do something about it, okay? This is the problem. Application issues waste productivity because people get stuck doing other things. But there's an even bigger problem than this that I don't think we talk about enough. That's 15 minutes worth of time wasted. Has anyone ever heard, spot the geeks here, of context switching? Okay. Fantastic. Context switching is a massive issue, okay? And I'm not talking about load balancing, especially from a Citrix perspective. What I'm talking about is what happens when you change from one task to another. So imagine you're working on an application. Maybe you're in Excel, entering data or creating a presentation. Imagine something goes wrong with your application, okay? And you're like, oh, what am I going to do? You raise a service request, and then you go back to your application. Now, you may think, okay, the time I've wasted is actually the amount of time I spent away from the application. Actually, 20%, every time you switch between tasks, 20% of your cognitive capacity is lost. Okay? And if you don't have much to begin with, that's quite a lot of cognitive capacity that you've just lost switching between tasks you probably didn't need to. Okay? This is a big problem. And it's not just that. Every time you switch between tasks, doesn't matter what it is. It could be an application problem. It could be trying to do something else, or someone's given you a call. It takes about 20 minutes to get back on track. Does everyone recognize this? Have you been in that situation? Or all of us have. Where you're trying to work on something, and then something goes wrong, and you're like, right, I've got to call service desk. Once you've called the service desk and gone through the pain of talking to an IT person, pain of talking to an IT person, you then get back on track, but then you've got like residual tasks in your head. You can't get back on track with that task for a long time. Okay? This is a major problem, and it's compounded by the fact that the average person is interrupted 31 times a day. Look, squirrel. So this is the problem, okay? You see what I did there? There's so many disruptions, okay? There are so many disruptions day to day, and every time that you get distracted from the task in hand, actually, you're losing 20% of your cognitive ability, And you're wasting about 20 minutes every time you get distracted. This stuff is huge. And guess what remote work does to this? Amplifies it massively. It makes this context switching between tasks much more likely. I mean, look at this lady. She's got a dog and a laptop. That's never going to help. She's also on the phone, probably to the service desk. I've got a dog on my laptop. And also, she's got headphones. She's probably being very distracted. And the number one distraction, I don't know if you're the same, knock at the door for yet another Amazon delivery, okay? Every time that happens, you are context switching. And it's not just the time that you are wasting going to get the delivery, say hello to the delivery driver, sign the thing, get a photograph. Is that just me? Just me.
No, usually they just throw it in the porch and, the camera's picked it up and alerted. And
Oh, no. They like to talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe it's a Yorkshire thing. I don't know.
Maybe it's just me.
But this is what happens, right? Every time you get that distraction, okay? Now, we can't control, realistically, when the Amazon driver knocks on the door. There's a lot of distractions that we cannot control, but there are some that we can. Now, I might have mentioned this before, but I used to be an IT manager, okay? And I might have mentioned before that I was really bad at it, okay? I hated being an IT manager. So I had this whole thing in my head about, being in charge of IT. I could just give people a laptop like this, stick an OS on it, stick some applications on it, and then give it to the end users and never hear from them again, okay? That was the plan. I could do this, they'd shut up and never talk to me ever again. The problem is, that wasn't really sort of the end of the deal, okay? Being IT manager was a poison chalice. When everything went right, you didn't hear from people. When stuff went wrong, though, you couldn't get them off the phone. And it was probably my naivety, okay? But I thought, okay, you've got your apps, you've got your desktop. What else do you need from me? Leave me alone. But the problem is, users have problems. I mean, maybe they open Chrome, okay? Click on Chrome. And then Chrome comes up and says, there's an update. Do you want to update? And the user's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with this. Context switch. And then maybe they click on Camtasia. And when they click on it, nothing happens. And the user's like, I've got to phone the service desk. Context switch. And then maybe, and this is one of my favourites, they click on Teams or Outlook and it goes, do you want to use new Teams? Okay, because everybody loves that. Every time this happens, that's a distraction from being productive. And that's just like the top 3. Okay, there's a whole load of stuff that users can get distracted with when it comes to application deployment and application management. Users aren't built to deal with this stuff, okay? They're very simple people most of the time. They just want to be able to get access to their applications when they need them. This is one of my favorites over here. I need other apps, where can I get them? Probably service desk. Or this one, the app's gone. Where's it gone? It was there yesterday. What's happened to this app? Or maybe this one, I've got virtual desktops. I've got PowerPoint on my physical desktop and delivered via Citrix. Which one do I need? And when I use them, why does one of them look different? Every time something like this happens, users are not being productive, they're being distracted, and they're losing a fifth of their cognitive capacity. I'm not going to make any jokes. And also 20 minutes per distraction. Your goal, my goal, as an IT manager, should have been to make this as easy as possible, so that as an IT manager, I could just sit in a corner and not talk to anyone. That would have been perfect. But when this stuff goes on, people are calling you, they're calling the team. Okay? So the question's got to be, hopefully you can see where this is going, the question's got to be, how can we make the user's workspace as distraction-free as possible? How can we eliminate all of this stuff? Okay? Anyone heard of Liquid before?
Nah.
Nice one. Put your hand up, James. Looking at you, Nathan. There we go. So until about 3 months ago, we were known as Liquid. Now we're Recast Application Workspace. Okay, I've actually got a T-shirt on that says less cool name, same cool platform. All right. So now we are Recast Application Workspace, and luckily for you, Recast Application Workspace is the answer to all of this cool stuff. Okay. So a little bit of a recap about what we do. So we have the ability to deliver applications to Windows, to Mac, to your VDI, to your DAS estate. Whatever endpoints your users are using, we can deliver all of those applications. As I said, we can deploy, we can patch those apps, and we do some really, really cool stuff around dynamic deployment. Okay, so when a user clicks on an application, based on the context of their device, we can then change how the application is being delivered. So maybe they're on a laptop, they're in a coffee shop, click on an application, maybe it launches through AVD with Nerdio. You're welcome, Neil. Maybe they click on it and it launches and installs as a local application. Okay? All down to you, all down to their context, does it all completely automatically. The really key thing though, especially if you're an IT manager, want to be as non-distracted and unbothered as possible, is this. So we have self-service built into the platform. Okay, you're an end user, your application isn't there, maybe it's disappeared. Okay, I can just go in here and I can click on my application and it will install. Maybe you click on one of these applications and previously nothing happened. You can just right-click. You can right-click and click on repair. That'll just reinstall the application for you. Maybe there's a problem and you really don't want to talk to the help desk. You can right-click on the application and you can send a service request. Just type in some data, automatically enter the service desk queue. Okay, minimizing distractions. Now we've done some more research on this and we reckon we can save, and I've got all the data on this, about 8.5 minutes per user per week in application distractions. 8.5 minutes doesn't sound huge, but when you sort of factor in that 1 minute could equal 20 minutes of lost productivity, actually this stuff stacks up. Context switching is estimated to cost between 20 and 30% of productivity every week. If just by deploying this and making sure their application distractions are minimized, you can save 15 to 20% of productivity, that's pretty huge. Okay? Right, I'm going to show you some of this stuff. That's always a bad idea, but let's see what I can do. So you've probably seen this before. Neil? Yeah, like 5 minutes ago. Imagine, if you will, there's an amazing launcher, lots of colours, okay, loads of cool icons. I will talk through it. Don't worry, I'll go back to the presentation and I shall talk through it. So, AV what? Right, here we go. I might just break it even more. Yeah, but I have to share the presentation, otherwise it doesn't work. What was that? yeah, I've lost 20%. I've got nothing now. All right, so what I was going to call out is the fact that we do have a really easy to use launcher from a user perspective, but we do something else which is even more cool. Okay, so we have full API integration with our platform. So let's say you're an organization where you've already got an intranet, or you're using Teams, and most organizations are, or you're using SharePoint. What you can do with our API is you can create your own portal, okay, which will integrate with our platform, pull the applications out, do the full Azure AD integration, and I created one. I can show you, not now obviously, but I can show you back up at the desk. It took me about half an hour. I created a portal, and that portal talks to the platform, pulls out all the applications. Every time you make a change in our portal to remove or grant access to an application, that then appears. There's no need to use the launcher that we provide. You can integrate this directly into any tool sets that you're using at the moment. So from a customer perspective, don't change what users are doing. If they want shortcuts on the desktop, fantastic. Give them managed shortcuts on the desktop. Make it look and feel exactly the way that they're used to. Don't distract them. Don't give users too many options. Keep them doing what they're doing at the moment. Just remove the problems, okay? That's what I was going to show you, believe me. It looked really cool. You'll never know. So what do we do at a glance? Reduce service requests, okay? Massively. People aren't phoning up. They can do most of this stuff themselves using our platform. Improve user experience. You should have seen what I was going to show you. It's amazing. Improve time to delivery. Instant.
Can you make the device launch with just your launcher?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually tried that when I was at iGel. So one of the things you can do is boot up the machine, open up something like Chromium, and then just have this, because this works directly through web, potentially. Still got to sign in, but yeah, absolutely. Good point, James. So, and unify the app delivery. So if you've got Citrix or Horizon, or you've got AVD with Nerdio, or Windows 365, then you can bring all those different applications together and deploy them across multiple different platforms. You can consume them from this platform, you can deploy them from the platform, but more importantly, from my perspective, is that you can reduce all of those distractions, okay? And again, so we've got an ROI calculator that actually goes into depth about the productivity savings that you can realize using this platform, okay? And type in how many users you've got, you type in average salary, hourly salary, there we go, and it'll actually pop out how much you're saving in annual salary, and those 6 FTEs for every 1,000 people, how many of them you're saving. More importantly, it also acts like an additional member of the IT team. So if you can automate as much of this as possible, which you can with this platform, then it's equivalent for 1,000 people to about 1.5 extra people in the IT team answering this stuff. Okay? So shame I couldn't show you the demo, it was amazing. If you want to see any of our case studies, please come and check us out. Scan the QR code, we've got loads of them, we're building more in the UK. And if you want a demo, then scan this QR code and I'll show you what unfortunately I couldn't show you today. Okay? So thank you very much everyone. Don't get distracted, it's not worth it. Thank you.